Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this 3D star card. I showed it on my blog the other day and it was very popular, and I was asked if I'd make a video to show how I've made it. So I don't know how much you can see on here, how very 3D this is. I think that's fine, isn't it? You can see how it's very raised, shall we say. So I'm going to start off by telling you the card pieces that we need. I'm not changing the colour or anything because I just think that this works beautifully together. So to start off with, the card pieces are a card base in Night of Navy, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored at 4 1/8, and that in centimetres is 20.5 by 14.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.25. And then you will need 2 pieces of Whisper White, which measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. All the measurements and everything will be in the box below the video for you. Then you need a piece of Designer Series paper, and this is Twinkle. That measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches, which is 9.7 by 13.7 centimetres. For the sentiment, you need a piece of Whisper White that's 5/8 of an inch by 2 1/2 inches, which is 1.5 by 6 centimetres. And then for the big white star, you need a piece of Whisper White that's approximately 4 inches by 3 1/2, or 10 by 9 centimetres. And then you need a piece of Night of Navy, which I've said at 2 1/2 inches by 2 1/2 inches. It's approximately, and that's 6 by 6, and that one is for this one here. Okay, so what we will do first, as usual, I've been playing with this a lot. One of the things I wasn't happy about, this was the very first star that I did, and this is what I posted to my blog and to Facebook. What I didn't like about this is, if you have a look at, I'll bring this close up, but if you have a look at all 4 of those points, they're not the best points that you've ever seen. I hope you can see this. I'm looking at this in the screen. Oh, that one, yes, you can definitely see that. You see where it's a bit squashed? Well, squashed looking. And then that one. Okay, so I think I've worked out how to do that. This is the second card. No, this is the 5th star that I did, and the first one that I've been really happy with. It has actually been embossed, but I'll show you that when I get to that stage. But if you have a look at the points here, that's probably as close to perfect as they're going to be. Okay, let's move up to that one. See, there's none of that unpleasant squashed bit. Alright, so I'm going to show you how I've achieved that. So this one first, that's the big shot. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to do this at the same time, so I can do the big shot work at the same time. Let's tidy myself up a bit here. Now what I've done for the Night of Navy, I've put this onto a piece of our Sizzix adhesive sheets, so when that has been die cut, I can just take it, peel this bit off, and it will be sticky all over, so I won't be trying to get Tombow in the little bits and pieces. And I'd just like to explain to you how I do this. First of all, I take a piece of the adhesive sheet, and this was actually a scrap that was in my packet. Let me show you. There we go. Okay, these are the big sheets here. Let's turn it sideways. Okay, and that's 6 by 12 inches. And any scraps I put in there so that I can use them on projects like this. So what I did was I measured the size of my paper, which was that, and I knew that it was big enough for the star. And I took this off because that's where the sticky is, and then I put my Night of Navy right on top of it. Okay, then to do my die cutting, I just have to remember that that's going to be the sticky side, so I've got to put my die on this side. Okay, so this has worked beautifully. So that's an extra little thing that I'll be showing you in here. So I can do that die cutting now, and that one. So let me just get my big shot up. Oh, and the other thing with this, when I was looking at my first card, the Whisper White is very plain, and I started thinking about how could I brighten it up a bit or make it a bit more interesting. And of course my first thought is always glitter, but for various reasons I couldn't use a glimmer paper, I couldn't use the foil, and what other options did I think about? I thought about spritzing, which you could do afterwards, and I think the best option is going to be Wink of Stella. Anyway, I carried on working, and then I thought, how about using our embossing mats, which is something I've not done before today. So that's something else I'm going to show you now. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to die cut the heart, the star even, and this is from the Starlight Thinlits. Okay, and the stamp set I'm going to be using is the one that goes with it, which is the Star of Light, and the only stamping I'm doing is the Merry Christmas. Okay, so I'll tell you about that before I forget. Right, so what you do now with the star, you need your platform and one cutting mat, and then you need your die cut with the paper still in there. Another reason why I thought I would try this is because this die puts score lines in, and I wondered if by putting the score lines, doing the embossing like this, I wondered if the embossing lines would be that much more definite. The answer to that is no, they're not, but it does make your star come out with all the embossed holes, circles on it. So then you put your grey mat, and then you put this one, and then you crank it through. You can feel a bit of pressure as you're putting it through, but it's not massive. It's just enough for you to feel that it is actually doing its job. Okay, so pop that one there, that one. And now you may be able to see, yes you can see it from there now, can't you? You can see how that has embossed the holes in there, the circles. So if I can just get my paper piercer and just pop that out. Come on. There we go. You can see the score lines, which is what I needed a bit more definite, but that didn't happen. But I did get the bumps on there, which I thought added something nice. So I thought I'd share that one with you. So don't need that. Before I move on to do this star, I'll just show you what our packets of, here we go. This is what the Big Shot embossing mats look like. Okay, so you get that white one and that grey one, and you also get this one, which is a very, very floppy blue one. And the instructions for this are on the back. So that shows you the standard sandwich. That's the one that we've just done. And all these are numbered. And it tells you up here what they all are. And that's if you want to emboss only. So I could have used that star in the centre of a full layer if I'd wanted to, rather than die cutting it. Right, now don't talk too much because you'll forget where you are. Right, now also I noticed that where I put this onto my paper, whereas I'd measured it that way and that way to tell you what size you needed, if you put it on sideways like that, you need a lot less. Okay, so I'll put the correct measurement of that bit in the box below the video. And again with this one I'm going to turn it sideways so it uses less cardstock. Another reason why I do a complete strip of this, even though I'm not going to be needing it, is because whatever's left over I put into, this little DVD case, stamp case, and then I know everything in here has got the paper, the self-adhesive sheet on the back of it. So if I ever need to do anything for these colours, I've already got sheets. That's not going to do me much good because I think that's Emerald Envy, but it will do for my personal bits. And that one I had it on the bit of glitter as well. But honestly, it really does make life so much easier when it comes to sticking these onto things. Right, I think I have talked too much, so I don't need that one, do I? Let's take this one. That goes with that one. And we should have another cutting mat here somewhere, which is here. Right, so that one on there. I don't know whether I had to do this more than once or whether it cut out beautifully first time. That looks beautiful, but as I'm making a video I don't want to have to stop and start again, so I might as well put it through a second time. Doesn't look any more definite, so I imagine the 2 times will be fine. Right, so that's all we need here. Okay, so I've done that. What I'll do is I'll cut that off and then I'll pop it into that folder. Now to get this out I do just use my paper piercer. And I try and do 3 of the, what do you call the sticky out bits of stars? Beams? Light beams I suppose, aren't they? Okay, so once I've done 3, then it's easy to pull the rest out. Okay, now I'll clean that up later because it's got all the blue in there. Okay, so underneath this white bit it's going to be really nice and sticky for me. Let's just get rid of this. Now I quite often find that this is hairy, so I've got a blue bit left in there as well, so I'll need to push that bit out. Oh, okay. Toothbrush got it out. Right, there we go. So I don't need to do anything to that one just yet. Now this is the one where the work is. Everything else is so simple, so straightforward. So you're going to need your either your scoreboard or your trimmer. Before I started, my first thought was I was going to use my scoring tool, but then I thought, have I got something like this but it's got a smaller ball on the end there? So I went to my non-Stampin' Up stuff, things that I had since I first started card making, before I'd joined Stampin' Up, and I found these. These 3 are from Pergamano, That one is a 0.5. It's got measurements on it. I was really going to go into this big time, but that feels too scratchy. That one I thought would be alright. That's 0.1. Don't know if you can see how small the ball is on there. Okay. Those two I decided were probably about the same size, but I decided that one because it looks more of a ball shape. Probably totally wrong, but hey, there we go. If you have something that you think is smaller, I mean, is that any smaller? Yeah, I suppose it is really, isn't it? There's not much difference. Anyway, what you need to do is, on the score lines that go from point to point, not these that go in the V's, right? Ignore those ones. It's point to point, and there's 4 of those. So we need to score those lines and make them a bit more definite. The secret to not having squashed points at the end there is by not scoring all the way. I think what has happened to my first one, where I scored it up there, I think the fibres have sort of gone in different directions. I don't know how to put this. I'm not technical, but I think it's the fibres where I squash it down too much at the end. There's no way that I can then fold them. But doing it like this, I can. So first of all, with your trimmer, obviously no problem, but if you've got a scoreboard, it is a good idea to have one line that is highlighted. So what I'm going to do, I put my point into that one, so I know it's going on the straight one, but don't start scoring right from the top. What I've done now is I start from about 1/4 of an inch, and then I stop at about 1/4 of an inch to the end. Okay, then I turn it round to the next points, and again I start from about 1/4 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, and the big points, make sure they both line up nice and straight, and then leave 1/4 of an inch top and bottom, and then the last one, make sure that's lined up really nicely, leave 1/4 of an inch, and there we go. So that's fine for that. Now what we need to do is to emboss the straight lines, but we need to do it from the other side. You know, when you're making greeting cards, they say that you should fold with the mountain side of your score line on the inside. I personally agree with that. Not everybody does, and I have to say I did think that logically you should have the mountain on the outside, but you will see the kind of folds you get, the lines you get, if you fold it so that you've got the mountains on the inside, which is why I changed this over. Now this one, you can't really see the score lines from this side, but it doesn't matter because you're going from one V to the next V. And again, don't go right from side to side. Okay, leave yourself about 1/4 of an inch. And then go round to the next V, line it up down here. So you've got your 2 V's. Had a little panic there thinking, am I in the screen? Have I been in the screen all this time? There we go, there's that one. Move round to the next V. And then leave 1/4 of an inch and stop 1/4 of an inch from the end, and then do that again on this one. Now I don't think it would matter if you did from side to side on this one, because it's not like you're trying to fold a thin bit there. But once you've started doing this anyway, when you do this, do bear in mind that that centre bit there is taking a lot of stress, because all of these lines, H lines, are actually going through there. So do be careful with that. You want nice firm score lines without being too heavy-handed. Right, now if you turn this over again, so you've got the right side facing you, which is the spotted side, we are now going to start folding. So the first one I'm going to fold is going to be this very long one. And what I do is, as I'm bending it over, I use my fingernail to push up where that fold is. And then you will see that it will fold quite easily. Okay, I've gone about half of the way along, and now I am just pinching it. I do not use a bone folder on folding this down. Now what I do, as I'm coming along here, it starts to get more difficult, especially when you come to this little bit at the end here. Okay, I'll show you how much I'm at the end. So that must be, what, about half an inch, I suppose? About 3/8 of an inch. Now, to get this last bit folded, I push my fingernail up underneath and then work that over it. I don't try and get it right the way, just so that I've got a little bit of a bend there, and then I can push it down a bit more and a bit more, but that very little bit I just can't do. So what I change over to at this stage is my tweezers, which look as if they had got, oh no, here we go. Okay, so what I do on this bit here is I use my tweezers sideways so that it's actually this bit here that I'm using to squash my fold down. If I used those, it would leave dents in there, which is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. And the reason it will pinch your paper on that part is because of the thickness here. Okay, so you see that the actual points are coming through, but I do come as close up here as possible. And then gently, gently, once I've pinched it with my tweezers, now the very, very end bit doesn't get flattened, doesn't get folded rather, it stays flat. You see that? It makes me think of a duck-billed platypus. Okay, so that's what that end looks like. Turn it around and then gradually fold this one down. Now I've come to the bit where I can't go any further just by folding. So my tweezers take over. Oh no, let's use my finger first with the... Trying to use my finger now to get it to fold over. And now I'm using my tweezers. Okay, I'm giving this a squeeze. I'm not trying to squeeze the life out of it or trying to get some juice out of a lemon or something. Just a gentle squeeze just to try and flatten it. Okay, and again, that's still quite flat there, like that one. But once that is on the card, that's going to be fine. And because it is just flat like that, it doesn't look as if it's been chewed up or anything. Now I'm going to do the next big one. Okay, so that gets folded as far as I've done the scoring. Then I'm going to use my fingernail and then I'm going to use my tweezers. Okay, notice that I'm not using the points of my tweezers at all. Okay, so that one looks good. This one looks as if it's gone over altogether. And let me just get my fingernail in there. Whoops. Once you've done your first one like this, it does speed up quite considerably. But I am not trying to do this as fast as possible as I am making a video. Right, so there's that one. So now let's do this one here. There we go. You can feel where it stops, where you've haven't actually done your bit of scoring there. If you do forget yourself and you score along there, you will at least understand what it is I've been trying to say. Okay. So that gets that into a nice point. Doing the straight ones is a lot easier. Okay, and then the last one. Okay, so I'm doing the 4 diagonals first of all. If you see the centre actually beginning to tear, don't worry too much unless it's a big tear, because you're going to be putting a rhinestone on top of it. So it will cover up that. As I say, as long as it's not a big tear. Okay, so that's those 4 diagonals done. And as I say, I don't use my foam folder on it. So now if we turn it over, so we've got the reverse side showing us, we are now going to fold from the V shapes, one V to the next. So I'm going to take the V on the left hand side of this one and the right hand side of that one and fold it like that. Now that I'm just doing with my fingers. Now I'm going to move round to the next one. So that folds there. All you need to do is make sure as you come over with the fold here of your V, that that side lines up with that side of the V. Don't try and get this side to line up. It's not going to work. Right, now let's move round to the next one. And again, make sure that's lining up. And that one. And then the last one. Make sure it lines up. Okay, so that's your star done, and just to give it a really good shape, what you need to do is take 2 of the points and fold them and then put them together. Now when you put these together, don't try lining up the top bits here, line up the bottom bits. Let me just do the first one here and I'll show you. And again, just pinch it. Now if I bring this up close, you'll see that it's the bottom bit that I've lined up, not the top bit. Okay, so that's that one. Now I leave those two and then move on to the next big one and the small one. And again, line up the bottom there, squeeze. Next one, line up at the bottom there, squeeze. And then the next big one and small one. Again, make sure that the bottoms line up. And then when you open it up, you can see the dimension of your star. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, to adhere this to your card, well, first of all, let me start putting the card together. Right, that was a piece that was inside. I've already put my tape on the back. When I went to on stage recently, you probably know that I organised a craft day. One of my ladies, Moya, and I, we organised a craft day for all the other ladies in our team. And we agreed that we were going to do team swaps as well as swaps generally with all demos. And our team, I called us the superstars because the ladies in my team are super. And the swap that I did, I don't know if you remember the project that I did with the holder for a mobile phone for your desk. And for each of those I used one of our DSPs that had stars on it as part of the design, like this one and like this one. And I was amazed going through all of the packs of DSP that I have here. I was amazed at how many actually have stars on them. So I was able to do different DSP for everybody. I was really quite pleased about that. It's the kind of thing I wouldn't have noticed, i.e., you know, there are a lot with stars on, had I not done my project. In fact, let's do this the other way round. There we go. Oh, I've got to do the sentiment as well, haven't I? That's another little technique for you as well, because what I've done with that is I have heat embossed it using Night of Navy ink. So a few techniques for you to learn today, or visit again if you've already seen them. Right, let's pop this on. Oops. There we go. So first of all, I'm going to put the little heart in here. Okay, so this is the one where I've got my sticky on the back. So all I need to do now is to peel that off. And it is very, very sticky. Okay, so no glue oozing out anywhere, and it is stuck firm. I can see some more hairy bits on there. It's quite amazing, look at all that. There we go. Right, now to adhere this to my card front, I need dimensionals, and I'm going to be using the small ones. Okay, so what I'm doing is from the back, I'm only going to use 4, and they're going to go inside the 4 long points. What is going to stick on this, you're not going to put it in so it's right down flat because you lose all your dimension, but you're going to get the star to grab hold of the side of your dimensional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that there, so it's probably about 3/4 of an inch up. Okay, so you're not going to be able to see that, but there is a gap in between there. And just take that bit off. I'm going to do another one. Again, about 3/4 of an inch in. So it's being held on by not the whole of the side of it, but more like the bottom. Now I think I might just have squashed that down. Hold on. The last thing you want is to have that squashed right on the bottom. Oh, come on, you've not done this to me. Just turn you sideways. Right, now let go. My goodness. Ah, done it. Not had any trouble with that before. So let's try this one. There we go. I know, but I'll try. I'm going to try lifting up part of this before I take it over. Okay, let's see if that makes life any easier. Okay, so pop that there. Make sure it stays. That's it. Oh yes, much easier. So there you go. When you pick these up, fold the backing piece half the way back, so it's a lot easier to pull off. Okay, so what we do now is, which is the right way up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm putting my card, now I did put, oh yes you can see it. This is the base. Number 8 is the dark line that goes up there, so that's what I always use as my centre. And I know my corners here, one needs to go just off the 6 and that one's just off the 10, and therefore I know the dark line is the centre. I'm just giving these an extra little pinch, make sure that they stay together nicely, and then I am going to pop that in line, number 8, make sure this one's in line, just put that down. It doesn't look very straight, does it? Just a minute, let me check this. Oh, I think that's okay. Just put that back into position again and double check. I think that might be a bit better. Okay, so all I'm going to do is very gently touch onto the dimensionals. Okay, that's that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay, Now that will, I don't know if you can see that, if you push that down that will push your star up, but that's no worries. And this is a card that I would not send through the post, although if that gets pressed it does spring back again, but I don't know if it's been in the post for 2 or 3 days whether that would stay like that. So this is either for people I post through their front door or for people I actually hand it to. So I'm going to get one of the largest dimensionals. I'm just going to pop that onto that centre bit. So you cover up that bit where it's taken really quite a bit of a hammering. Now with the Merry Christmas, what I do with that is the stamp I've already explained to you about, and what I need is I need my embossing powder. This is clear embossing powder, Versamark, and the Night of Navy ink. I just go over my piece with my embossing buddy, make sure there's no finger marks or anything in there. Now my stamp I put into my Versamark, and then I go into my Night of Navy ink. Now I've already prepared one earlier for this in case I don't get this straight. Right, there we go. If I do get it straight then I can save this one for another project. I'm trying to get it straight and making sure that the Y of Merry doesn't come off the bottom. Oh, look at that, lovely. So very happy with that. So I put all of these away. And my clear embossing powder. Okay. Give that an extra gentle knock off the side there. Right, so I just need to heat emboss this. It won't take long, but I do like to get my heat gun hot before I actually put it onto here, so bear with me just a moment. I can't believe how unbelievably straight that is. Amazing. There we go. So there you are. That's how you can do heat embossing with any of our colours of ink. See the shine on that? Brilliant. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use this one because I've already cut it to size, and I'm going to use large dimensionals. Do one either end and one in the middle. I hope that doesn't show. No, it shouldn't do. There we go. So we just adhere this on. Don't need to go up slightly. Yep, that's better. And then just 2 of the smaller rhinestones and I'm happy. If you're sending this card to somebody who's really special, you could put more rhinestones, scatter it around. I might well do that later, but we'll see. And I've got a pencil mark there. There we go. Gone. Right, there we go. That's today's project. Many thanks for joining me. I hope you like it, and I really hope you give it a try. If you have any questions, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to help, and I do enjoy reading your feedback. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, there'll be a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below. If you've enjoyed the video and you would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and once you've subscribed there'll be a bell that you need to click on so that you'll be notified. So many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.